Okay, it says I'm live. Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be. I'm your humble host, Mr. David Null, also known as Hawkeye Two Feathers, and I greet you with the love and the honor of the infinite creator. And I do continuously every day. I continue to pray that each and every day that each and every one of you will continue to learn how to accept and receive the knowledge, the healing, the wisdom, and the many blessings from the universe. And with that, welcome, 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 whatever time of day or night or evening or morning or whatever in between. So, this video, um, I won't say it's for a select few, but there are a few, only maybe a few people that might understand what I'm doing here with this video. But I came upon a video not, let's see, 12 days ago. Barry, how are you doing? So 12 days ago, I found this video, okay? And I thought it important to save it for labor. Pooey, for later. Get my mouth correct. And what struck me was in the about it was that there's the name of the video is called The Enigma of a Pen Drive Thrown in the Street. I don't know, but I'm putting it out there because I found this video and it shocked me, surprised me, and I was like, "Oh, what the hell?" So, the enigma of a pen drive thrown in the street is the name of this video, and I can't play it or whatever, but I've got my computer on right right here, and I've got it brought up, and the name of the channel is looks like it's Spanish. Okay, it's Contacto con la Ciencia. That looks like the name of the channel. Okay, and the video itself is 13 minutes and 38 seconds long. So in it, they play what's on the pen drive, and what's on the pen drive is what I've seen videos of on Dante's channel way back in the day of spaceships out around Saturn and Jupiter that are shooting at each other, that are around the moons and stuff. And it looks like it was shot with an 8 millimeter camera back in the old days, and it's black and white. Um, and it's like, wait a minute. So this person found a pen drive, where a thumb drive in the street, and on it it had DS or AHK or something, but 8867. Now one could say that, well, that's just odd, this and that, and blah blah blah, but no 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 no, it had 8867 on it. That's Dante's code. That ain't somebody else's stuff. That's Dante's code. So the pen drive, or we would call a thumb drive, was found in the street, and I'm not sure where, but it's Spanish being spoken. Oh, hey, Susie Q, what's going on, dear? So, with those of us who have been aware of Dante and his channel, and of the Charistus and of the group and so forth, um, the fact that I found this channel 12 days ago um, was very enlightening to me in that how did this channel get this information? And did someone close to Dante, I seriously doubt they threw it in the street. Did something happen to where they had this information on a thumb drive? They opened it, these folks opened it up, and the next thing you know, here's what I've seen in Dante's video years ago. So, what's up with that, Pathfinder? So, tonight I decided that I would put it in the title. So, Pathfinder, if you're listening, I've got information about this channel. And the video is 13 minutes and 38 seconds long. And the name of the video, I'll repeat, is, and it's on YouTube, The Enigma of a Pen Drive Thrown in the Street. That's the name of the video. And the owners of the video are Contacto, Contacto, Contacto con la Ciencia, CIENCIA. Contacto con la Ciencia. Then it looks like 129K. Wait a minute, that might be how many people are on the channel. But anyway, so there's some interesting stuff that's been happening in the world and to the world. And so while I've got this Pathfinder thing up there, I want to do a little bit of Earth Wobble update. And the Earth Wobble update is this. The Earth is still wobbling. And what I mean by that, so at the end of the last full moon, the full moon was starting to be low in the sky. And by that time, it was low in the sky. And by new moon, it was low in the sky. Now, I just came in from an outside break to look up at the stars and so forth. And the moon is setting in the west right now, but is almost straight overhead again. Okay. So the moon is not fluctuating like that back and forth. We are. So the Earth wobble is like this. So the moon is high, we're close up here. And when the Earth wobble moves down like this, then the moon is lower in the sky. So we have been lower in the sky, and now all of a sudden, whoop, moon's back up overhead again. So the Earth is doing a wobble. All right. And it's been going on. I've talked about the Earth wobble for a long time. And now some of the scientists are starting to get it. There are, it's been close to a year back now. They were talking about Earth wobble. Like, really? Oh my goodness, you all have noticed that the Earth is wobbling? Holy crap. Keep up, y'all. Because all you have to do is observe what's going on a day-to-day basis, and like down here in the South, we had a lot of cloud cover. And so it's hard to look up and check the stars at night. And I read an article today where they're saying that the Earth is slowing down. So it's not in a little while, maybe in a million years, but this Earth is slowing down, and they can tell because how they check the stars at night. It's like, well, how long? Oh, and I talked about this years ago, where I put up my house is like a sundial, and I was recording every day where the sun was coming up. So at 10 o'clock, you know, what evening impact news. Um, my video is supposed to be this way, but it ain't. So never mind. But y'all can hear me all right and everything. So the Earth wobble is still real, right? And we have been getting hammered by a lot of outside forces. Um, ask Elderberry. We've been checking in on Stefan almost daily, and he's been giving us the news. Stefan Burns, I believe is his name, and he's been giving us the space weather news every day and keeping us appraised of the situation. Now, something I also want to bring up is, Earth wobble, okay. And now I was listening to a Democrat today, bitching to the subcommittee, and he was talking about, oh my goodness, climate change and how we as a nation and we as a people are responsible for what's going on. The earthquakes, it must be because of us, and we need to put up more windmills, and Trump said, nah, cut that mess out. We're going back to oil and natural gas and other stuff. We have plenty of resources. And it's already proven because 20 years ago, 25 years ago, everybody swore that, the earth was coming to an end and we're all going to die and we're all still here 25 years later, and I'm here 73 years later. Now the biggest thing we need to do is they need to quit spraying the sky with crap. That's whoever's doing that, they need to stop that, because otherwise, things I think would be a lot better and I could breathe easier, literally breathe easier. So we are doing okay. And we as a people are not affecting the earth like some of these people would like to claim we are. Otherwise, after 25 years of their screaming and hollering and we're all going to die thing, we would all be dead, you know? So we need to pay attention to what's really going on. Oh, but Trump is like, really. Listen, a lot of us are like, listen, windmills and everything are great as backup stuff, but not as primary. Solar. There, I went to um, up to Tifton the other last week, and I couldn't believe at how many little solar farms there are right beside the highway going up to Tifton. So Georgia Power and Okie doke, folks have delegated 40 acres of land for a solar farm. I don't have a problem with that. Really, I don't, because that is giving back to the to the demand of power needed for the state of Georgia. I don't have a problem with solar collectors, but them great big giant fans have not. Oh, is it a 20? Really? Oh, it is. It's 120. Ooh, I got one ready. Absolutely. Thank you, Susie. Puff puff pass. So here's for the 20. All right. And here's to David Wilcox, wherever his soul may be. I hope he didn't commit suicide. I hope so, because otherwise his ascension is null and void. I've been waiting all night long to say that. Cheers to all of you. So, yeah, there are a lot of things that David Wilcox did right. And then he got mixed up with Corey Good. And I listened to Cliff High yesterday and some other folks, and I agree that Corey Good um, is the result of David Wilcox's demise. Okay, I don't necessarily believe everything he said, but I do not believe he committed suicide, which may indicate he did. Yep. No, but I mean, the thing about the law of one is true. And the law of one was around before David Wilcox brought it up. And I was talking about, things that the law of one and stuff before I knew about David Wilcox or his stuff. So when I started hearing David Wilcox, I was like, oh, there's a guy who understands what I'm talking about. Oh, the law of one. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Okay. And, consciousness. Okay. And all of those things, a lot of that is true. But then when he started getting into, channeling aliens and stuff and things like that, I'm like, yeah, I don't know. And what I kind of think of, and some other folks are thinking along these lines, is that he opened himself up to too many things. And there are some of us who believe that he opened himself up too much. And that some of the entities that he was channeling or listening to were giving him some crap information. I'm just crap information. And if my spirit guides gave me stuff that reportedly that, things that he was given, like this, his guides told him to, um, wash in his own urine or something like that. And I'm like, what? I'd look up mine and go, oh, come on, are you serious? There'd be an argument about that. You know what I'm saying? So urine can be good for like cuts or things. And, if you've been bitten by something that you don't know, and, you could pee on it or use your urine because it's can be pH and take the sting out of something. But, now this is hearsay of other people. But if I was having that kind of stuff, which some people claim that he was having from listening to his spirit guides, I'd be like, I would be questioning that shit. Just saying, if there's information that comes down from my folks, if most of the time it sounds right from the beginning. And then there's times like, what did you say? You know, that I have to mull it over and go, wait a minute, I don't know about this, so I might not relate things right away because the information that they pass down to me, I got to think about it. I got to let it I got to cogitate, chew the cud, as it were. So, um, he's already passed on, so there ain't nothing we can do about that. We can't save him from himself or anything. It's already a done deal. But we can do a send a prayer and say, I hope you didn't do it yourself. You know, my prayer is, Dave, I hope you didn't do it yourself. You know, so there are a lot of folks that are going to talk about this for a long time, but I ain't, because it's a done deal. It's over with. But like I said, my prayer is, please, Dave, I hope you didn't do it. And if they do an autopsy and blah blah blah, and they find out somebody actually shot him from, where they say that he didn't like guns. So how did he get a pistol? How did he get a gun if he didn't like guns? But he had one. So there are questions. And there are questions because the day before, on the Sunday, he did a live stream with people and seemed like he was in a positive spirits and so forth. And And so the next day, people wake up and pooing, he's done himself in. So that's a big surprise. You know, that's a big surprise. People just watched and now he's supposedly offed himself? Question mark. So we'll see about that in the future. But as far as the rest of it, poor Dave is done his duty here on this planet, whether he did it or somebody else. That 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 life stream of his is over. Okay, and the deeds that he did comes after him. So let it be with Caesar. So thinking about the speech about with Mark Antony and Julius Caesar. So we can talk about him or whatever, but the good things there or the bad things he's done is so let it rest. People are going to talk about this for a long time. So, but anyway, back to the reason I'm here for this video. Well, there are a couple of reasons. I wanted to discuss the planet wobble, which is still happening. I wanted to discuss, the moon where it's at and the wobble wobble. Okay, that's a quick discussion, but it is still happening. Go out and look at the moon. Check where it is in the morning and in the evenings. You go out and it's straight overhead, you go, and then 4 days later, the moon is not overhead anymore. It's over there. You know, that's obviously things that you can observe yourself. I don't have to prove it to you. Just go outside and watch. Oh, so scientists, in what I read today, is that the earth is slowing down. Instead of 24 hours a day, it's looking like eventually it will be 25 hours a day because the earth is taking longer to spin all the way around. And they're checking this because guess what? I check the same way. I check against the stars. Where's the moon? Where are the stars? Because the stars don't move their position. They're there. So scientists and astronomers are looking and they're going, it took longer today than it did yesterday for the earth to get back around so I can look at Vega. Oops. What? Yeah, it took 5 minutes longer for it to line up to Vega again. I got I got the telescope set up and it's supposed to be looking at Vega, but it took 5 minutes longer for it to line up than it did yesterday. So scientists and astronomers are noticing this kind of thing. And so a 25-hour day, eventually, I read it as like, oh, tomorrow's going to be 25 hours long. Not quite. But my observations without a telescope, what? My buddy Ralph didn't have any guns and he sold them all because of his suicidal tendency. What? He bought a new gun for the day he did it. Oh, watch your shadow daily at the same time and you'll see unnatural changes back the wrong way. Yep. And so I took my pseudo granddaughter out on the lake last Saturday and we went fishing. I had a beautiful day. And like a dummy, neither one of us took pictures. It was a beautiful day on the lake, except for the wind. We talked about a lot of stuff. And one of the things that when we got out of got in the canoes or got out, I can't remember. So her boyfriend was there and I said, okay, so how if you don't have a watch and you don't have any GPS kind of stuff, how can you tell what time it is? And I was standing there with my walking stick because I needed to walk with after all that paddling. So I'm standing there with my walking stick in the sun and I'm like, so how do you tell? And they're like, well, I don't know. And what about you? And I'm like, so here you are. The reason you're here with me this Saturday is because I'm going to teach you stuff about things you probably never learned before. Now, I took my walking stick and I put it out in front of me. And I said, now, do you see the shadow from my stick? Yeah. Which way is it pointing? And at the time it was about 11. It was about 11 o'clock. And I was like, you have to look at everything. I am straight up ahead is 12 o'clock. That's always true. It's 12 o'clock. So I was teaching them that in the canoe, if I said, look to your 10 o'clock position, that meant to look with your left hand over there at approximately 10. You know, learn like they did in aviation. Learn how they talk, with sailors. Look at the 4 o'clock position. Well, that means it's back yonder somewhere. The 3 o'clock position is straight east of your position, and the 2 o'clock is over here. 1 o'clock is up here, and the 12 o'clock is straight in front of you, and 6 o'clock straight behind you. So they didn't understand these things. So I'm like, that's always there. The cardinal points are always there. And here's this stick in the sunshine. Now, from the hands of a clock, with 12 o'clock being straight up, where's the shadow? And they were like, oh, hands of a clock. Well, that's about 11 o'clock. Ding, ding. So anytime you don't know what time it is, and you're out in the woods or whatever, out in the clear, out on the water, all you got to do is get something, and it doesn't have to be long. It just has to give you an idea of, to get you a shadow. So you can always tell time, you know, by the sun, except if you set your clock forward. Because if you set your clock forward an hour, then when it says 12 o'clock on your stick, you have to add an hour. Straight overhead, yeah, but on the clock, everybody said it's going to be 12 o'clock or it's going to be 1 o'clock. So the sundial only works if you don't set your clocks forward. That's why I don't set my clocks forward. Because if I have to check with the sun, I can check with my clock. They're going to be the same. So, but anyway, so I wanted, to discuss a little bit of that. So people are freaking out about a lot of things these days. And apparently on Monday, which was 420, by the way, let me come in here and finish this up. I need a refresher course. But yesterday or today, I can't remember which. Thank you, Susie, for hanging out with us. The president signed another, executive order, and they have changed the marijuana from being a Schedule 1, which is like cocaine and all of that. They have diminished it to a Schedule 3. So it's not legal, but it ain't a Schedule 1 anymore. So those of us who smoke, we can't necessarily go out in public and do it in front of a cop, but we could, but instead of getting thrown in jail as a felony, it'll probably be a misdemeanor and should be a misdemeanor. Because smoking a bowl is not like cocaine, because I've taken cocaine and I'm here to tell you a bowl of this is not the same as heroin or cocaine or anything like that. So shame on them for keeping it a Schedule 1 as long as they have. But thank you, Jesus, and I mean that wholeheartedly, that they have dropped it to a Schedule 3. So there is progress being made in the world. Everything isn't, oh, ho, we're all going to die. Everything isn't, AI is going to, eat us up tomorrow. AI is a machine. AI is a computer. I got this computer sitting over here and it keeps wanting to go into sleep mode because I'm not doing anything on it actively. It's trying to act on its own. It's been 5 minutes, I'm going to shut down. It's been 5 minutes, I'm going to shut down. So every 5 minutes, I have to wiggle it so it doesn't go off, or I have to reboot the damn thing. So going back to the origin of why I'm doing this video, Pathfinder, pen drive, DS-AHK, Silent 72 Plus. So the enigma of a pen drive thrown in the street. And it had on it DS-AHK 8867. Hey, John, what's going on? You're never late. You know, we can always pick up where we were before. But if you just got here, the reason for this video is that I found this video, and I'll repeat it again. The enigma of a pen drive thrown in the street. That's the name of the video. And the apparently the owners of the YouTube channel is Contacto con la Ciencia. Now, I watched this 12 days ago and I saved it. And shame on me, I wanted to put it up here sooner. But it shows some of the old black and white video that Dante showed years ago of raids. Like the picture on here is of the Aztec, or well, it looks like an Aztec temple or pyramid, and with spaceships going over shooting at it. And at the top of this pyramid is a Charistus sign, with the uprights. And so it's like, and it's supposed to be many years old, the video. Um, but so, how did I find this video out of all the stuff on the internet? Because I'm going to repeat the title again. Susie Q, get some rest. We love you, sweetheart. Cosmic hugs. And hope you have a good night's rest and a good morning tomorrow. So love you, love you, love you. Get some rest. So, in the grand scheme of things, there are no coincidences, right? No coinkydinks. So, as I'm just looking around for stuff and looking through my recommended, here is this video. Like, if you saw this video, would you click on it? The enigma of a pen drive thrown in the street. And for whatever, it intrigued me. What? Yeah, John, it's good to see you. Thank you for always showing up, or showing up when you do. Never mind. Thank you. I love you guys always. So, I have thought to myself, what led me otherwise to look at this video? The enigma of a pen drive thrown in the street. It sounds like a fairy tale or something, you know? The enigma, of a pen drive. It almost rhymes. The enigma of a pen drive thrown in the street. So somehow I was led to this video. Now, the entire video is 13 minutes and 38 seconds long. And I'm going to repeat again what the channel looks like. Contacto con la ciencia. Contacto is CONTACTO. Contacto. Con, CON, la, LA, and then ciencia. 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 So I would invite you to go out there to that YouTube channel and watch it, and then scratch your head and say, how did these folks get a hold of a pen drive, a thumb drive, a USB drive that was, quote, thrown in the street? And this person found it, plugged it in their computer, found a file that on it said DS-AHK 8867 on it. And they were like, I wonder what this is. Click. Ow, 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 oh, ow, my funny bone. That ain't funny. Holy mackerel. Got that nerve. Oh, that hurt. So, knowing what I know, which is not a lot, but what I have learned about Dante and so forth, I'm like, this has got to be weird, you know? And what is still weird to me is how I found this channel. And I think it's as I sit here looking at the channel or looking at this video, amongst others, it's because of the picture. I recognize the picture. It's a picture of a pyramid, like in Mexico. And there's a spaceship over it with a mountain in the background. And I'm like, I've seen that before. And sure enough, I have. And I've seen it in little video clips that Dante has shown on his channel years ago. So now what's these folks doing with a pen drive, thumb drive, USB drive with these videos on it? And his code 8867. That can't be just a coincidence. 8867. I could have said, well, could have downloaded this or that, and maybe they did. But the video is longer than any of the videos that Dante has showed us. The clips are longer. Now that could just be by choice of editing, but I'm like, well, wait a minute, I've seen this video, but it's longer. Or this video has a beginning, and then and then there's the this and the spaceships around the moon and the what? So I can't show it to you, but you can surely watch it yourself. And if you're a Dante fan, Pathfinder fan, then I suggest you watch it. Don't have to. I'm suggesting. Because if you want to keep up with what's going on, and on the pen drive, thumb drive, USB drive, in case there are different names for the things. Why would these people have it? Why would they decide to post it on their channel as to what they found? That's another one. It's like, do they know something? Do the people who found the pen drive, thumb drive, USB drive, do they know something? Well, they're poking around at the files, but what made them decide to upload the video, to upload the the whole thing? With the spaceships flying around and shooting, and what possessed them to upload that? Some people might just go, "Oh crap!" This is a this is a load of hockey, and it just throw the whole damn thing away, or erase the files. And if there was nothing wrong with the USB drive, pen drive, that you could keep it, and put pictures on it or whatever. So it's strange to me that these folks, Contacto con la Ciencia, the name of the channel, the enigma of a pen drive thrown in the street. So Pathfinder, if you're out there, if you're listening, I'd surely like to know if somebody has dropped something. Okay. Now from the sound of the voice, and I have not I watched the video twice, and but I can't remember the beginning. Only that they found this thing, but I don't know if they said where, like what country, what city, or whatever. I don't remember them saying where. Okay. They just found it. Now, maybe they did say it and I can't remember. So I encourage you to watch it yourself and then go, well, Uncle Dave, I see what you mean. How did they get their hands on something that is personal to 8867? Not somebody else, not another group that's tied to the Christus. No, 8867. That's Azazel. How'd they get it? Who dropped it? Have some coffee. Now, there's some other things that are happening in the world, which I'm just kind of going to fly over the top of, most of them. And one of them is the war. I ain't going to discuss if it's good or bad. Personally, I think it's good. After 47 years, that something gets took care of. I'm not for blood and guts and any or glory. I'm for settling things. And sometimes you just have to settle things. Like settle things. Not just sort of settle. No, you have to settle things. And in order to do that, sometimes you have to wait. Now, folks out here in the country, a lot of us have grown gardens before. Now, you buy the seed in the springtime or in the wintertime, what am I going to plant in the summer coming up, and so you go down to the seed store, you buy some online, you got your seed. Now, this is the time of year I'm looking around, a lot of farmers are planting stuff. Things are coming up. There are several big farms around here that got cabbage, boatloads of cabbage. And give it another week and they'll be harvesting big heads of cabbage, acres and acres of cabbage. And if I'm lucky, I'll find a head on the side of the road. But the farmers who set those out weeks ago, they had little cabbage plants that were this big. but they couldn't do anything with them little cabbage plants except watch them grow. So now, with something like a ceasefire, and you're trying to negotiate things, what folks need to understand that sometimes, always, it always takes time. Hey, Chloe. Howdy, howdy, darling. And so, just like watching the cabbage grow, folks who plant seeds, here you've got seeds. So, right now, they've got seeds for negotiation. So, people are calling Trump, a coward, that he backslid and, the Iranians got to him and all this. Oh, shut up. Things take time, just like a garden. Just like folks around here are planting, they're not gardens, they're crops, right? They're full crops. You have to wait for the damn things to bloom. They can't go out there and harvest the cabbage that has grown this last month. It's not big enough. So in the same way that they're trying to make a deal with stuff, it's growing. They have sowed the seeds, and you have to wait and see what grows out of it. But these people that tomorrow they want, oh my God, how come this hasn't happened? Because it takes time sometimes. Sometimes you got to pour a little water, a little fertilizer on it. Sometimes you have to drop a bomb here and there, to get their attention. But to the point, it takes time. Any kind of negotiations in any kind of way takes time. So folks that want this done immediately and right now, cut it out. Tell your friends to take a big giant fucking chill pill and sit the fudge down and give it a little time. Because right now, the deal is like a crapshoot. Seriously. You ever played dice? You got them dice in your bowl, and you say, okay, 7 come 11, because that's what'll get you the money, right? If you've ever played dice. And what ends up is boxcars, and then you go fudge. And then you got to go back to the table, boxcars, some bitch, You 1 point over, right? Instead of 11, you got a 12. Whoa. That's as bad as snake eyes. So, but anyway, so the deal of the art of the deal right now is like a crapshoot. Every time it's like, okay, let's try this. Blow on them dice and give it a shake, and out you go. Well, we got a 5. Okay, well, get to roll again. Got to roll a 5. Got to match it, right? Or okay. And boxcars. You're out. You lost your money. Okay. So if you want to keep playing, and this is where it comes into the deal, we have more we've got more chips, okay, and ships. But thinking about shooting dice, we have more chips on the table than they do. They got a little pile about this big, and they got they got a gold chip sitting beside them that is like, they can hold on to this with a little bit of hope. But we got 20 gold chips and ships and a whole pile of, other chips, this high on the table. So we can afford to play again. You see, we might have shucked them dice and rolled them out and got boxcars. We didn't lose. because it's their turn. And when they roll and they didn't get a 7 or 11, they lost big time. So whatever they bet, we get to keep. So whatever we bet, they get to keep. Well, you lost. Yeah, but look at my pile. So now when you bet, I get that money back that I just, that you won from me. I just got it back. Now, and you're right back where you started from. What? So people need to understand the art of the game, whether it's the art of the deal or if it's a trump. Now, we can kind of sort of leave Trump out of this because I've not read his book, The Art of the Deal. But I do know, because I've dealt with a lot of stuff over the years, that there are certain things that you follow through on. If you're going to sell a house, you got to wait 30 days. And sometimes something's got to go through escrow and they got to check with the bank. And sometimes that 30 days goes on to 45 days. Well, then people are having trouble moving out and there's something was supposed to be done. And now instead of 30 days, it's 2 months. This is common, okay? If somebody gets a house in 30 days like they say they're going to get it, that's a miracle. Because usually there's a little something that gets in the way and it delays the sale or the moving in or the final something, or the people got to go on vacation before they sign the papers, all kinds of stuff, right? I'm filling up a 20. So, but anyway, so the deal has to take time. So the people who are squealing, oh, it's doom and gloom, it's over, we can't, but no, it's the crap game still going on. Folks are still shooting them dice. Now, in our case, we know who the dealer is. We know who's got a hold of the dice and who's giving them a shake. We know who that is. Well, between the president and Pete Hegseth and the War Department, but I mean, we know who's doing, who's doing the thing, doing the bet. But we don't know who the other side is. They got 20 guys all standing around trying to look over each other's shoulders, going, what do we do? I don't know their language, and I'm not trying to be smart. I'm just saying it's in a foreign language. Blah, 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 blah. So Harry steps up to the table, and Harry's been standing in the back. So they give Harry a chance. No luck. So next time they're going to, give a roll at the crap table. Tom, come here. It's your turn. Blah, 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 blah. Boxcars. Some bitch. He's not any better than Harry was, So they've got people coming up to shoot craps. And they're not really sure if Harry or George or Tom is the one that should actually be throwing the dice, So that's who's making the decision, right? We're standing at the crap table now. Remember that this is how the game is being played. So, but a lot of folks don't want to wait and see. They're like, if they're not going to concede, then grab your chips and let's go home. No, they still got something on the board over there on the table that they put up, and they still want to play. So what should you do? Should you play or? Oh man, hang on, guys. I think it just. Oh, all right. So again, for those who might have just come in, it's about perfect. Um, so the name of the show, the video, is the enigma of a pen drive thrown in the street. So for Pathfinder and Dante and DS-AHK 8867, I was real surprised about that video. So my friends, please watch it and see what you say. I might do another video on it. I'm going to watch it again, and um, I could watch it right now, but that would really distract me, and you couldn't watch it. You could hear it, but it's more of a watchy thing than a listen, because it's a black and white, and it shows um, um, the war between the planets or folks around Saturn and the moons and so forth. So, but anyway, what time is it? Is it time for a 20? No, I'm going to make it so. From my sundial, it's a 20. But so, with all the craziness of the alien stuff, okay, which is something else I wanted to bring up, Dante has showed that there's like 100+ alien groups that have or probably, are visiting the Earth. The number 79 um, different alien races was tossed about, and I think it's because of the first Alien Races book. There were 79 that they highlighted. I'm not sure about that. But here's the deal. Dante's always shown us real aliens. He's not tried to sugarcoat it in any way. If anything, he's been too blunt. Good. Show me what the real deal is. Don't pussyfoot around. Show me what the deal is. So he's always showed the real deal. And in a recent video that came up on Pathfinder, my friends, if you have not seen it, shows the Doggerana. I probably got that wrong. But they're a mix because um, Thor Cristal decided that he needed to make some hybrids, and he used some of this ancient alien race and he mixed it in with the DNA of some of the folks on this planet. Some of the folks. So some of the folks that have the Dor Crystal essence in them also have this Dogorama alien race in them. So ain't that curious? So not all of us have that DNA, but some of us do. And they're already here. They're already mixed in, right? In the DNA. And it might not show up at all in their lifetime. And then again, something might trigger that DNA. Now, I don't know what will happen, but, the way Dante was speaking, that they needed somebody who was going to be more aggressive. Okay. So we got a lot of aggression going on right now, right? From different places. from people that you think, well, David Wilcox, he had a good meeting with everybody on Sunday afternoon, and Monday is he's a goner. So did and I say outside forces, did an evil entity crawl into him and say, "Hey, Dave, this is pick up a gun. This is a good idea. Come on, let's go outside and have a conversation with a 45." Now I don't know what caliber, but you understand what I mean. So instead of a 45, and I don't have a pistol, all I have is a powerful air gun, actually, two of them. But I'm not into suiciding me. I've tried that too many times over the years. I tried running into bridge abutments and couldn't do it. I tried hanging myself years ago. Not a good idea. It's not very fun at all. And so, got to spray for roaches. Um, but all of my life, um, it's always seemed like, when I was a child and looking out the window, I'd wake up. I've told this many, many times, but I'd wake up at night with my arms like this and looking out the window, and there'd be Pleiades out the window, you know? And I'd be like, what the? I didn't even know what Pleiades was. Banana pudding does the trick. Um, so understanding that when we look up at the sky at night and see all of the stars, and some of those stars are distant galaxies, and with a little bit of knowledge, you too can look near a star and go, "Oh, that's a galaxy. That's billions of stars right there beside. That's holy crap." So, in trying to understand some reality of things, the universe is full of stuff. It is jam packed full of stuff. Now, not necessarily touching and pushing against one another, but it's out there in the universe. And it's like, oh, there's another galaxy. Oh, look over there. There's another galaxy. Well, some bitch, there's one down there. They're all over the place. Now they have to have space between them because they just do have to have space between them. But the whole universe is packed with stuff. So how can we not say, hey, wait a minute, there are that many varieties of people and things and whatever you want to, however you want to put it. Let me let Duggar out. Come on, Doug. Go outside. Or are you going to tear up the bed? And sometimes in this world, you just got to let the dog out. I mean, he's been a very good dog, Chloe. He's been great, honest to God. So a little Duggar story. We were on the lake on last Saturday, and So now he's back in already. That did you get him? Hey, did you get him? Well, so now now the door's open. But anyway, so 17 and a half foot canoe. I mean, I keep saying how long, but then his boyfriend Ty comes up in a 12-foot flat bottom John boat, and we pull up together, and we're not too far from shore. And Duggar gets up from a nice spot he's laying in now, gets up, goes over to Emma, and then wants to get in the John boat with Ty, which he does. And then he crawls to the bow of the John boat and looks at the shore like he's fixing to get out. Well, we're still 20 feet from shore. So we all push up close to shore. He gets out, and they're like, well, aren't you going to get him or whatever? And I was like, just watching. So he got out and went up, took a tinkle, went around and sniffed, went around over here and sniffed, went around over here and sniffed on the bank. Did his little thing, tinkled over by the tree, and come back, looked at us, and came back and got in boats. Didn't have to call him or nothing. Took about 3 minutes, but he had to go, and he needed to get out of the boat. So we did, and that was that. But he did it on his own without any kind of, Duggar, where you going? All I said was, Duggar, don't go far. And I say that a lot. If we're getting out of the truck, Duggar, don't go far, stay near the truck. So I was just like, Duggar, don't go far. And he got out and did his thing and come back. So, but anyway, so that's a good story of Duggar. And sometimes you got to trust your animals, but then sometimes they run off like a dart. So, and reading the cards tonight, there was like, we have to have faith, we have to have trust, and we have to believe, you know. And the cards started out with turtle, you know, and Mother Earth, and that we are never alone, and we are not victims unless we fall into that trap. Oh, he was a good boy, absolutely, Chloe. And so, um, the what keeps coming back to me in lessons, right? And the lessons are that, patience. And I'm 73, will be 74 in September. I've made it another year. The stent in my heart is working. Um, I'm going to therapy next Friday. I'm going to start therapy again because that fall I took in on Thanksgiving has hurt my right hip and my leg, and I'm having trouble with the pain. I'm having trouble with the walking, and it's mostly on my right side. So I'm going to an orthopedic doctor. They're sending me a thing in the mail, and also, I think it's June or July. I'm going to have that's as soon as I can get an appointment, unless someone cancels. But they're going to take a look at my back to see if maybe I can get shots specifically in my back to help relieve some of this pain I've got. Because look how many years it's been, 4 or 5 years now since I've had my back surgery, and I'm having as much pain now as I did then. And in some ways, I'm having more pain. And that's, in the long run, that just ain't working. You know what I mean? I'm not going to cash my chips in anytime soon. Do not get that. I'll put up with the pain. I'm going to figure out a way. I'm going to do therapy. I'm going to exercise. I ain't going nowhere. Somebody's going to have to take me out. Somebody's going to have to take me out. Somebody's going to have to take me out. What time is it? Oh, it's 16 after. We're coming up on a 20. I just filled my bowl up. So, Look, about the pain thing. Yeah, it sucks. Um, I don't have a sciatica. Oh boy. But now I've got pain from my waist up to the middle of my back daily. You know, this is not a complaint. Well, yes, it is. But it's not for like, oh, I'm so sorry. You know, it is what it is. You know, it's the effects of the surgery. And after all these years, it's still bothering me for whatever. So at least I'm going to doctors to try to figure out, is there any way to alleviate it without any kind of extra, I told the guys, I do not want surgery, you know. Oh, and I had echocardio's something. Anyway, it's an echocardio thing, and they go up and they listen to the artery in your neck. And she went first up one side, up one side, all the way up to behind my ear, and then she turned me. Well, I turned my head, and she went up the other side, all the way up the artery till behind my ear, and then I turned on my side, and she listened to my heart and checked on the side, and then all the way down at the rib cage up, and so far there's no issue. So I passed the echo test. So at 73, and after having my stent put in, that's a good sign. If I take care of myself, I can be around for a while. Only thing is, it is almost black cloud. How you doing? I got it right here. It's 2:18 by my clock. Looking at the computer down there, and it's 4:24. So, but I'm going to light early. So, with all the things said and done, with my pain and issues and whatever's, I'm still looking forward to tomorrow. I'm looking forward to 10 minutes from now. I'm looking forward to 1 minute from now. Oh, black cloud used to be white out. I think so, yes. Sometimes my memory is just like, and I don't mean to be that way. It's like, shouldn't I remember you? Is where my brain is. So other folks are going to remember for me because sometimes things just go right over my head. Time to light, 2:19 Eastern Daylight Time. Smoke it slow and low. Slow and low. I'm going to do a video. I think I should, just because, you know. And the name of the video is going to be, Does Weed Make You Stupid? You smoked with me on 420. Yeah, I was going to do a show, and I was sitting here, and I think Barry and I had we did a 420 on 420. At 420, we smoked a 420 on 420. So, but anyway, but later on in the evening, I was sitting here, and as an old person, there are times when I just get tired, and whether I like it or not, I got to take a nap. The nap says, lay down. But I don't want to. Lay down. Are you going to go to sleep in your chair? And you wake up, oh my God, ow, ow, ow. Your legs are stiff. Best to just go lay down when Nap tells you to.
Hello, I'm Nap, and you're going to lay down.
But I don't want to.
Lay your ass down.
But I don't want to.
Lay your ass down.
Okay, Nap always wins. So, again, for those latecomers, the name of the video that I am referring to for Pathfinder and DS-AHK 8867, the name of this video is The Enigma of a Pen Drive Thrown in the Street. There's a rhythm to that. It's poetical kind of thing. It reminds me of, and I'm trying to think of it, it reminds me of a something like, in theater or, somebody, the Shakespeare, how the flow of the words or something anyway. And then again, I'm going to repeat the YouTube channel. It's called Contacto con la Ciencia. So there it is. I'm going to keep referring to it for anybody that comes in. It's an hour and 16 minutes, and it's 222. Light it again. So I'm 73, been smoking since I was 17. Okay, so you do the math. 50 some odd years. Now, here's my question. Here would be the question to the universe and to all y'all. Is smoking weed better for you than drinking alcohol? 56 years. Thank you, Chloe. She's got a calculator.
She uses an abacus.
But to all the years, my 56 years, thank you, Chloe. It's my head.
Okay, so you got an abacus up there in your forehead.
That works. Never mind. I'm kidding. But so, after all these years of smoking weed, and there's Cheech and Chong, blah blah blah. Tommy Chong is out there talking with folks and stuff. But and he's a few years older than I am. But but just to the point. So I was an alcoholic. I drank occasionally every day, and sometimes a bunch every day, and a bunch on weekends. Got trashed a lot, spent a lot of money on alcohol, but I gave it up when I was about, I'll guess about 56, 55, somewhere in there. And as I was approaching 60, and I really liked the taste of beer. And when my pops was alive, when I would go down to Tampa, we'd go out to eat at some place, and there was usually a bar, and we'd go, okay, so let's try. Have you ever tried? I'm making this up. Have you ever tried a Samuel Adams? Well, no, I haven't. Bartender, give us two of those. And we'd try that. And then we said, well, have you ever tried a Molson's? Well, I had one once. Well, hey, bartender, the next round, bring us two cold Molson's, gold, and they bring the Molson's over. So what we weren't trying to get drunk, we were drinking beer for the flavor of the beer. And so we'd start off with a beer, we'd have supper, we'd talk, we'd bullshit, we'd have another beer during, and then we might finish off the supper with a beer versus dessert. So But it was like that. So let's try another beer was our sort of thing. And the same thing, he had a bunch of cigars, and he'd say, we're going to try this beer, and we're going to smoke these cigars that I got for us. Okay. Now there was usually a Habitampa or something like that, because that's where he delivered to, but they were still good cigars. So we shared cigars. We'd have a beer. But, but yet, there's nothing wrong in that. But the issue with me was, yeah, I would have another cigar and I'd have another beer, you know, and maybe another beer. Because when you reach three beers, there's sort of a trigger. And folks can bitch about this all they want to, but there really is. And it's sort of like smoking weed. If you smoke a whole joint down to the nub, man, and there's only that titty bit, a little bit left, you're stoned. But now for me, a lot of times I want to get something done through the day. I can't smoke a whole joint. I'd be flipped out, backed up, and stuck to the chair. So what I do with my bowl is I light it. I take a casual I try to take a casual hit, and my brain gets to a certain place, and then I look down at the bowl as I am now, and I go, well, maybe one more, and so I take another casual hit, and my brain reaches a certain place, and and I've talked about this with other people, and it's sort of like a moment that you hit when you take. Sometimes, depending on the weed, sometimes it takes 5 hits. Sometimes, if the weed's really good, you can take one hit and go, ooh, 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 that's it. That's enough. And off you go, right? So, but, to take a couple of hits off a bowl, where sometimes it will, people will just sit there and just, stare at the TV. No, I'm, depending on how bad my back hurts, I'm ready to get up and go do something, you know? Um, And sometimes if my back hurts too much, I'm ready to go flipping through channels rather than just get stoned and just, be pathetic. No. So when I was an engineer, if I had issues, I've talked about this before, I was like, damn, man, I know there's an answer to this somewhere. I say, okay, guys, I'm going to take a break. And I'd go out to my truck and I'd get in and I would drive around the neighborhood. And I'd have my little Woody and I'd have just a little bit of piece of bud in there, and I'd take that one hit, driving down the road. I got this issue. That some bitch has been bothering me. How am I going to fix this? Take another hit off that little Woody and drive down the country road a little farther and think about it, and I got to this and I got to that, and these are coming together and blah, blah, blah. And how's that going to be? Take that third hit and I'm driving along and looking out the window and nothing particular and go, son of a bitch, that's how I fix it. And I drive back and I park in the parking lot. I go back into the plant. I get back on the computer with my, um, you know, Autodesk, um, CAD program and type it up, fix it up, and call the engineer up and go, this is how we're going to fix this, and we're going to change this angle, and and then I go out in the plant, we do a little adjustment, and it works. It That's how it worked for me all the time. If I had a particular problem, I could drive around the neighborhood and take a couple of hits. Just ask the universe. I know the answers out there, and I blah blah blah, and I think about this, and I just take a deep breath, and I can't remember when I went back to the plant without an answer. There have been a couple of times that I didn't have a clear answer, but I had an idea of where to look to fix the problem, which sometimes it wasn't in fixing a tool or something. It was like, for an example, um, it might have been in an air cylinder that wasn't going fast enough. It was going too slow, being too sluggish. It'd push out fast enough, but it wasn't retracting quick enough, and so it was messing with the process. And so everything looked good because it came out, but it didn't go back quick enough. So now it was in the cylinder, not in any of the toolings or not in any of our settings. It was in an air cylinder that was going bad. Oh. So I didn't necessarily see the problem. I just saw where I needed to look, and there was an air cylinder that wasn't retracting. Oh. So I still ended up with fixing the problem. So, but anyway, there, man, there was at least 2 or 3 times a week I'd go take a ride. 2 or 3 times a week now for 7 years. So um, now early on, I didn't go out because they wouldn't let me. But as I progressed as an engineer there, they were like, "Oh, you need to go take a ride." We'll see in a few minutes. Because yeah, I was getting a buzz, but I was also working on a problem. Getting that buzz was to get me to that third toke high, to where I was on that different plane where I could talk to the universe, you know? So um, if you know what I'm talking about, raise your hand. Because, a lot of folks that I've talked to are like, yeah, man, you take 2, 3, maybe 4 hits, and you get to that feeling, and then, I can think clear and I can go out and mow the grass, or I can go out. And so a lot of people. So my point about that is, going back to the question, is alcohol better than the weed? And does weed make you stupid? Well, after all these years of smoking weed, I can still have a conversation. If I smoke too much, I don't get in the car and try to go anywhere, although I have before. But I live in the country, and it's like, oh, let's ride down to the creek. Okay. So, you're out in the country and you're stupefied, but you're driving down the country road at 20 miles an hour, and just to look out the windows, and you smoke a little bit more than you should, but you're having a good time. So, but alcohol versus weed. So I quit alcohol because I was drunk way too much. I just, I really liked it. And so, but I was getting into trouble. I would say things that I should not say. My mouth went ahead of me, like, come back here. You'd reach out there and try to grab your tongue. You son of a bitch. Shut up. Have to learn how to speak correctly. Like, I think I'm going to think about this a second, and glad I didn't say what first came to mind.
You're a dirty slug. You've been crawling on the ground like a duck
No, don't say that, right out the bat. So, let's have a conversation with somebody. But so you have to be careful. Um, and what's interesting with contacto con la ciencia, I don't contact for something. I don't know what ciencia means, but contact something. to the but the enigma of a pen drive thrown in the street. Now, let me discuss that statement right there. So, if these folks who are the channel, how did they know it was thrown in the street? Just think about that for a second, okay? How did they come up with thrown in the street? Now, if the people are in Spain or Portugal, which Dante has spent time in Portugal, um, but recently he's supposed to be um, in the war zone, and so yeah, Black. I'd rather me too. So, but over the years, and then the creator did something for me that I hated at first, but then I was like, okay, I get it. So no matter how much I drank, and I mean I'd pour a half a beer into a glass, and I'd drink that half a beer and get a headache, um, as big as Alaska. I mean, it would put me down. I mean, literally, I had a half a glass of beer with some friends, and I was at their house out in the country, and they were playing something anyway. They had to roll the dice, and and then move their their pieces, and I had one half a half a beer, and I conked out, laid my head on the table flat like this. And I'm drooling, you know, and my head's on the table so I can hear the tap 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 tap, roll, cring, and the whole thing of the game. And I'm like, oh my God. And it sounded like an army running through my head. And then and the headache kept getting bigger, and the tap, 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 and the roll of the dice, and them talking. And it was like, and yeah, and then they'd roll the dice and move the pieces. I was in misery. And then I woke up a little later on. I was like, what the hell's going on? And they were like, you've been asleep for 4 hours. We've been sitting here playing Parcheesi or whatever it was they were playing. And I was like, man, oh man. So from that point, that night, I was like, maybe I shouldn't drink any beer. And Creator had been yapping at me in my head, going, stop drinking. And I'm like, yeah, but I can have a half a beer. Stop drinking. But come on now, I argued with the universe. And the universe said, no, 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 Dave, Hawkeye, no alcohol. Period. No alcohol. Now, since that time, I have had a shot of beer or wine or whatever as a toast for someone and gotten away with it. But that's it. So I've not tried. There's alcohol here. I got Jack Daniels up there, and I got a fifth of gin over there. But I bought the gin to mix with medicinal plants, honestly, to make tinctures with. But I got alcohol here. If I wanted to get drunk, I could get smashed quick. But so I have, especially with me liking Jack Daniels the way I used to, um, I have not, you know, wanted to partake. Now, there's been a couple of times where I'm like, I wonder what a shot of Jack tastes like after all these years, you know. I wonder what a shot of Jack tastes like. Does it taste the same? And I got shot glasses and I got Jack Daniels, you know. It's like, yeah, but never mind. But I'm afraid to because of what the alcohol did to me the last time I had any. Well, that one time with drooling on the table. Um, but that, you know, with all of my heart medicine and everything, I'd really rather not muck that up. You know what I mean? I'd rather not fudge it up. So, yes, I have trying to not say the word fuck, and I'm replacing it with fudge. Okay, it still begins with fu. So, but it's ended in jed, fudge, the fudge, dge, right? So anyway, fudge, but so fudge them folks, right? So, but anyway, it's a more polite word in my humble opinion, and everybody still knows what I'm talking about, and I can still say the other word in private company, you know. But from here on out, I'm going to try to do my best to just use fudge. So, but anyway, um, I have been wondering what the fudge, this, the title of this video is that involves obviously Dante 8867. Doesn't say Dante, but it does say 8867. I think it's one of the files that they find on this drive. So, Katniss, my dear, oh, I have been sending you good vibes and hoping your time in the desert. I hope your time in the desert sands that you have been wandering through the Egyptian remains, and that there's for every one of those triangular looking things that you have been given. Anyway, yeah, I have honestly, you know, how's your trip to Egypt, you know? And so in my with my eyes closed, I'm like, I can't even imagine walking through the shifting sand. I got a bad back and a short leg. You know, how am I going to get through the fudging sand? I almost said the real word there. But how am I going to get through the fudging sand? It. Well, I got sand around here, you know, that's really hard to get through. So I guess it can't be any worse than that. But anyway. Oh, I think I brought that up to you that you had to you know, the sunglasses, you know, how was the glare? I think I brought that up to you. I remembered I think I brought if I didn't, I thought it. I was like, man, how is that sand going? You know, because you see the regulars out there on the sand and they're not wearing sunglasses. They're riding along on the camels and everything, you know, riding along with a camel named Clyde. Yee up, yee up. Anyway, um, and then along came Jones. Anyway, um, no, that was Ahab the Arab, especially in the Valley of the Kings. Oh, goodness gracious. I hope you at least had a wide brim, you know, so that you could bring him down. But when the having been on the sandy beaches of Florida, you know, fishing, you're there fishing, and you got all this white sand on either side of you. Now I know that's not the same, but it is because the sun's beating down, and you try to look down the beach, and you're squinting your eyes so much, and it's like, man, you can hardly see. It's so very bright, very uncomfortable. Yep. And the same is true when you're out on the water, and the water is real still, and the sun's doing its thing. When I was down on the river in the kayak, in the canoe recently, you know, at noontime, you know, I had sunglasses that I forgot in the truck, and I went for shade. You know, it was all I could do to see. You know, and blinding. You know, for 5 minutes paddling, trying to get to a place where there, and you know, the sun's straight overhead. It's hard to find a tree that you can, you know, that's got any shade. You got to get right up to the edge of the shore because that's where the trees are and that's where the shade is. And, you know, you're blind, you can't see. Yep, I get it. You're back in the cold now. But it was one hell of an experience, wasn't it? See any UFOs while you were there? So I was talking about aliens a little bit ago, and one of the things that for folks to understand with this um you know what the disclosure is going to be. Well, let me warn you, you know, if you don't already know, the disclosure is there are at least 80 different races that have either been here or or that are still visiting. At least 80. But when you look out into the universe, and what I was saying earlier, you know, ooh, there's a star. But if you got a pair of binoculars and you know just a little bit, and you can look at it on a star chart on the computer, but then you can go outside and look for yourself. And when you look for yourself and you find that star, right next to that star, there's a galaxy there. Good morning, Durums. Oh, it's good to see you this morning. Um, and I'm glad I decided to do a video. And so you look up there and you can physically see it yourself. It's not somebody else, you know, and you don't need, you know, a pair of binoculars you will help you. I've got a monocular, a single sight thing, but it's much like a telescope. It's only got one one nostril. It's got one lens to look at, you know. So, um, but that you can do a lot of sightseeing in the sky, and now that you can get on the computer and type in, you know, the sky thing, and you can say, oh look, there's a particular star I want to go look at. Oh, and right beside it is a galaxy. Let me go see if I can find that. So you go outside and you look for the you know the galaxy, the sorry, the constellation that you got to go to the dentist soon. Oh man, have one pulled for me. I don't have any teeth, but I got some sunken ones in my gum. I wish I could get out. Good luck, honestly, you know. And come home with a lot of with some cotton in your jaw, and you can't talk for about a day, and you got to suck yourself through a straw. Been there, done that. So, but yeah, so um, in this day and time, it's easy for people, and I say in this day and time. So back even 25 years ago, you could get on the computer, and there were places you could go to, like you go to Sky and um, Sky and Telescope online. They started out, and I used to go to the library every month and copy the star chart out of the middle of the magazine, and I'd take it home and I would practice where the stars and where some of the galaxies were, but they didn't show a lot of detail. But I could go to the library every month. They always had the issue. I could sit down there in the Moultrie thing and sit down in the chair and flip through it and read the magazine, take a copy, and then put it back. And if I needed to, I could copy an article and take that with me. So for 30 cents, I could get out of the magazine what I wanted rather than buying the whole magazine. Anyway, um, but Sky and Telescope. I think I got that right. So anyway, shout out to them because for many years they tried to put out the right thing. So now you got the computer, and now that you can go into the solarium or whatever, the starlarium or whatever it is, and the program that shows you where all the stars are and everything, and you can sail out to them and look at them and look beside the star is a galaxy, and over here to the left, out in as you zoom into the star, you find out there's two galaxies, one on this side and one on this side, and you go, "What the fudge?" And so there are things that you can look at with the computer to out in the stars, where in order to discover these things, you would have to have a decent telescope and have to look at that star and see the first galaxy, and you might not see that distant cloud looking thing on the left side of the star. It might be just overglow or something, and you don't really see it because you're busy looking at the one on the right. But with the program on the computer, you can see details and you go, wait a minute, there's another galaxy on the left side of that star. Let me zoom in and see what's up. So then you can go outside, look at that star, look for the galaxy on the right, and then also zoom in if you can. And at least you can see a lot of these things when you're looking at a galaxy, it's a cloud. It's a streak of clouds. It's a, it, unless you got one hell of a telescope, you're not going to see the spiral galaxy or anything like that. But you will be able to see what like a line of clouds, or looks like a smudge. If there's something way out in the distance, you can see a galaxy, but it might look like this big, and it's only a smudge, but that's the galaxy, you know, because why? It's because it's in the right place, right? Where that galaxy is supposed to be, because other people have seen it, took pictures of it in the big scope, and if you go on your computer, you can zoom into that galaxy because of the computer program. So, but anyway, so you can. My point to this discussion is about the wobbly Earth I was talking about earlier. You can go out and test yourself. Where are we? You can. The other night, I went out looking for Scorpio, and normally, with the trees and everything that are established here, I normally see Scorpio above the trees. So I'm looking for Scorpio, and I'm looking for the star I can't think of right now, the big bright one. Looking for it, and I'm like, I'm looking for the thing, and where's Scorpio? And it's down in the trees, which tells me what? That we have rolled down. Wait, we have rolled up. Anyway, the whole constellation was down in the trees, and I was like, man, oh man, the planet sure is rolling, you know. And then today they come up with, Well, the Earth is slowing down because we check every day against the background of the stars, and um, there are more folks talking. By the way, if you have not heard, I think I brought this up, and I can't remember the lady's name. She's a planetary um, astronomer and physicist and something else. Anyway, she and another person looked at the old star plates, like from Mount Palomar Observatory, where when they took pictures, they took pictures and it showed up on a glass plate. So they took these glass plates and looked at them, took pictures of them so they could digitize them, right? So what they found was that out around our planet, before there were any kind of satellites, they found a bunch of satellites around our planet because there were the stars in the background that did what they were supposed to do. But then there were other images of things that were between the stars and us, satellites. And there are thousands of them around the planet. Now, the question is, what were they, or what are still out there? Um, and are they artificial? Well, probably. Well, they might be rocks that somebody put there, but that they were there in the same place, kind of thing. So they were moving around, and then some of them would just be gone. And then, 2 days later, it'd show up again. I mean, unusual things that showed up on these glass plates taken by these observatories looking up at the sky before 1958. Okay. So now, where are the aliens? Well, they were out there before 1958. That's what those glass plates represent. Hawkeye, what do you mean? There have been folks sitting out there and in orbit watching us. Oh, hell yeah. You know, are they trying to determine what they're going to do? Well, a lot of them are fighting amongst themselves, as Dante has shown in the past. They are arguing. Like over in the Ukraine, some of the issues are between the bad guys and the Charistas, the good guys, and they're trying to muster out some of the bad guys, and that's why the war is still going on with the Russian folks trying to get them nasty ass critters off of this planet, to quit doing bad things to the human population because they ain't human, you know. Well, there are a lot of the Charistas, and a lot of us are probably hybrid in some way, shape, or form. My great grandmother was Cherokee, and then my great grandmother was half Cherokee. Great grandmother was half Cherokee. Grandmother was half Cherokee. So I got some Cherokee in me, but it's only half a. But there was still Cherokee all the way down the line. So it's not about how much, it's the facts. It's the fact that it's in my lineage that I accept. It's not how much blood. It's the fact that the essence of the Cherokee blood is in my lineage. It might only be that much, but it's there. And so I've not tried. Back when I first found out, I was trying to make it a big deal. I just found out that my great grandmother they were all Cherokee, and I got Cherokee blood, and they were like, yeah, okay. So I was let down a lot, but by the fact that over the years I still know that I have this essence in me, right? And it has been acknowledged by my shaman teacher, my shaman teacher, my teacher, shaman. My he was a medicine man who taught me, and he accepted my lineage and that I was qualified enough to, do these things from his standpoint as a medicine man with true. He was a true Indian, right? He was from two different, um, tribes for sure, but he was still showing up Indian. But so for me, not the same, but my lineage was good. So, but anyway, has to do with the essence, right? So, as Dante has talked about it in his last video, which is on Pathfinder, okay, and talks about the Doggerah. I'm saying it wrong. So, but you'd have to go look and see what it is. Um, and that some of the Dor Cristal group have the essence of them in their DNA. So a lot of us have DNA in us that we might not have any clue, right? Um, whether it be Cherokee or Hungarian or Slavic or you're Scottish or whatever, right? So you probably got heritage from somewhere. So in this day and age, should we make it an issue? And in a way, I would say yes. We have some Mexican folks here in South Georgia. Oh, are you, Katniss? Oh man, I hit that one right, didn't I? Um, we got a lot of Mexican folks around here, right? And what I mean by so, and some of them are very polite, and they have become Americanized, and they are Americans. They're all about being Americans. Some of them have even served in the military, Um, and but here we are in that. But they still, and I don't have a problem with it. They still, agree with their Mexican heritage. Well, sure, the Irish do it for St. Patty's Day. Cinco de Mayo is coming up, so and honest, honestly, Cinco de Mayo was made up by the white man. In talking with real Mexican people, it was not the 5th of May. The white folks made it up. It was actually like the 12th or something. It's not the 5th. And they celebrate it totally different in later on in the month. But anyway, your husband is Irish. Wow, that must be a combination for your kids. Does he have the red hair and everything? And freckles? Um, but anyway, so one could argue, well, all Mexicans are bad. Well, no, these Mexicans, um, they are American. They have, signed the paper. They've done their homework. They speak English and quite well, better than some Southerners that I know. Barry, we know. But anyway, so um, and so on certain days at times, they wave their Mexican flag. No problem. But then there are the ones that condemn America and that they retain their Mexican, nationality and that they refuse to assimilate to be American. Now, there are a lot of people who argue about this, and it's like, but why? Can you not see, you know, there are Mexican people here in the United States who have become Americans. And I'm all for them showing allegiance to where they came from, by talk about my Cherokee heritage. I don't, they got a flag or whatever, but, beat my drum and, you know, so, but then there are those who refuse to be American and who only fly the Mexican flag like they do in Los Angeles and some other places, and it's like, if you came to America, the agreement was, unless you're just visiting, then go home. Um, that you're supposed to assimilate. You're supposed to become an American. You can become an American and still be Irish. You can you can be an American and still be Hungarian. You know, um, my great grandmother on the other side, she was German. You know, Großmutter, and she had 7 daughters. And but they were all American, but they had German ancestry once removed. In other words, their mother was from Germany. So they were, that was, like they had been to Germany, which I don't think any of my aunts did. But so, Grossmother was like, I just came from there and this is the way it is and going to teach you this way, which she did. So different from if, my grandmother, great grandmother was Cherokee and Indian and grew up in a coal mining town, and grew up in the southern Ohio and grew up and then be went to work for a steel mill, and worked at times in the coal mines just to make it, and so Germany and this and heritage and and the heritage of Germany that she brought with her, and then the heritage of coal mines, and and steel mills, and and etc. And having bologna sandwiches a lot. So they try and tell us in the UK it's offenses to fly the St. George's flag. Try this, Katniss. Fly a white flag. What does a white flag mean? Truce or surrender. Truce, you know. So what you flying there, truce? I want to fly my other flag, but they won't let me. So truce. I'm going to fly this white flag, and I know that I would fly my, St. George flag, but there somebody's going to bitch or throw me in jail. So I'm going to fly this white flag. I dare you, you know. But it's a white flag. There's nothing on it. Can you arrest me for a white flag? But that's my laundry up there. Tie a handkerchief up there like the pirates did. Good to see you, Duromps. I hope they don't drill into you too bad or they give you enough Novocaine. Blessings to you, Duromps. Good to see you again. Gonna smoke one for you before you go. Oh, that was a good one. So, but anyway, 2 hours into this, I'm going to repeat. I'm doing this video. You can do the whiskey for me. You know, maybe if you and I were sitting down, I might have a drink, but I can't do it like I said before. So, but I'm right behind you though. Make sure it's a decent whiskey that you like. Um, but so I'm going to repeat why I'm here with this video, and it's because I found this video from a don't know how I came upon it. It was creator showing me watch this, but the name of the video is "The Enigma of a Pen Drive Thrown in the Street," and I watched this 12 days ago, and it's from a YouTube video. The channel is called Contacto con la Ciencia. And so this video is 13.38 seconds long, 13 minutes, 38 seconds. And it shows some of the things that Dante has showed in the past of some black and white video of what looks like 8 millimeter or 16 millimeter film. If any of you remember that, it flickers and jumps, and it's of spaceships shooting each other. It looks like Saturn. It looks like Jupiter. It looks like the rings of Saturn, and there are things flying around and moons and spaceships and all kinds of stuff. And it's very similar, if not the exact same thing that I have watched on Dante's channel. And so it's like, okay, so the the folks in the video were like, we found this thumb drive, pen drive, and on it we saw these files, and one was DS-AHK 8867 or something, but it was 8867. And when I heard the numbers, I almost fainted. I caught my breath and went, what? Rewind. What did you just say? 8867. Now that's code for Dante. It's not code for anybody else because he has said so. That represents him. It represents Azazel. So there again, there is this channel with this video, with this pen drive. Because obviously, when they play what's on the pen drive, it's obvious that it's longer than some of the clips that Dante has shown, but it is exactly the same thing as it looks to me that what he has shown before. Uh, spaceships out near Saturn, and it looks like Jupiter also, and they're shooting at one another, and they're hiding behind moons and things, and just and it's all in black and white, and it all looks like it was on 38 millimeter, film. Could have been some type of film. But to the point though, the enigma, which that word right there, the enigma, why would the enigma, they're saying, we wonder what this is. We found this. There is an enigma about what's on the drive. what we've watched, what we've witnessed, what we don't understand. And so the reason they put it out on their channel was because it was an enigma. It was so strange, so mysterious to them that they had to share it. So, the enigma of a pen drive, thumb drive, USB drive, thrown in the street. Again, I go back to, how do they know it was thrown in the street? Now, if there was somebody out there that was watching somebody else and somebody else was in trouble in some way or being pressured or being watched or being followed or something, and in some way, shape, or form, they had something on them, like a thumb drive or a pen drive, on them at some point, and they were being chased. 8867, yep. So, somebody was running, somebody was being chased, somebody was being roughed up or something. And so the thumb drive, pen drive could have been thrown from a person. Um, Maybe they're being chased in a car and they don't want to get caught. And so they throw this thing out the window. So it was thrown in the street. They could have said dropped, but instead it's an enigma and it was thrown in the street. So I'm saying this because I'm curious as to what the people of the channel understand about what they found and why they chose to share it in the way that they did. Now it sounds, when they're introducing this, um, could be fake, but it sounds like they really don't know what they found. They don't know what it is. They found it, there's some files, they clicked on it, and then that's what showed up, were these videos from things in outer space where they were shooting at each other. So, but 8867 is on the outside of this thing. 8867 should know what this is. Was it his and he dropped it? It's got his file on the USB drive. Now, how do I know this? Because the video is on this YouTube. I have watched it twice, gonna watch it again, but watching it kind of creeped me out because it was on a different channel. It was like, this ain't Dante, this is somebody else showing Dante stuff. Um, what do you do with that knowledge? So here I am discussing it because I don't know anybody else that is discussing it. I have found it, I have watched it, it has pointed these things in my head. And the best thing I could do is like, okay, Pathfinder, here it is. The Enigma of a Pen Drive Thrown in the Street. That's the title. It sounds like the title of a play. Sounds like a line in some kind of, and and thus the Spartans won the war. You know, it's a statement of, um, the enigma of a pen drive thrown in the street. Anyway, it rolls around in my head like that. So, but what does that mean? Well, seeing that pen drive, what's on it, and seeing what they showed, I looked at it and went, yeah, there are things out there where they're fighting each other. Now, why would we have a space program? Why would Trump and these folks want to put up a golden dome over the United States? A golden dome for what? Well, Europe ain't going to come bother us. The chances of, North Korea wanting to take us on is a little ridiculous. Fat man has met Trump, and Trump's button is bigger. And with everything that we have done in to Iran recently, nobody's going to want to mess with us. Really? Why? Why come over here and fudge with us? Nah. It's a whole lot easier to make deals. It's a whole lot easier to trade rather than fight. And so that's one thing Trump is trying to get across to these morons that are over there. And, these religious fanatics, that would, they're going to, hey, let's go execute some women. You know, Pick out 10 or 11 of them. Hey, there's a group, go get them. We're going to hang that group over there today. Why? Because I said so. They look suspicious. We're going to hang those right there. What? That's what goes on. So if I were younger, I could see myself fighting to stop that because that's just wrong. But I'm way too old, and I'm an old hippie. But to free people from an oppression like that in this day and age, that stuff needs to stop. You can limit their access to, information or whatever, but to hang a woman or beat them because they didn't have their hijibi thingy on right, or they don't want to wear one, or one of the generals, two of the generals' daughters over here in the United States, wearing these skimpy outfits and showing themselves off in videos and pictures and things, and while their comrades back in Iran, the only thing you can see is this you know. So it's a double standard. So stop it. They're doing it just because they can. Oh, religion says we could do it, and you should be beheaded. Then what are your grandchildren doing over here in the United States? Doing in skimpy dresses and flaunting around. And are you going to stone them when they come home? Well, they're being deported. So when they get there, let me know if them two chicks get stoned for what they did for over here and the pictures that they took and put up on the internet. Did their family stone them, kill them when they got home? Or is the family um, embarrassed by the fact that their offspring did these videos and pictures and doing this, hanging out off of a helicopter? I mean, what the hell? A famous general, Iranian general, his daughters or something, whatever. What time is it? Oh, I missed the 20. It's 26. Okay. I'm going to catch up. I see some of you are going to bed. It's about time for me to do the same. 2 hours and 20 minutes in, and I missed the last 20. But, one more time, the enigma of a pen drive thrown in the street. Hey, John, what you doing? Well, I've been on here for almost two and almost half hours, 2 hours and 21 minutes. So some folks are like, you know, and I try my best not to do long videos, but this one with everybody coming in and saying hello, and there have been some things that I'm just like, been on my mind for a while, haven't done a video in a while, and I've been thinking on how I can do some short videos that get right to the point, say something in 2 minutes. I remember my days back when I was in competition for extemporaneous speaking, and they gave you a card, and here's your topic, and you have to give a speech between 3 and 5 minutes. You got to get to the point. You got to, nail whatever the topic is, and you got to be concise, and you got to wrap it up between 3 and 5 minutes long. So, in thinking about what I used to do in competition years ago, I'm like, looking at this, doing a video for YouTube where it can be considered a short is similar to doing the competition of the extemporaneous speaking. This is your topic. You need to get your point across in this length of time and be concise and have a beginning, middle, and an end like it's supposed to be in a news article. So whatever it is that you're presenting to people, that's the reason for the short video. Um, Whether because one of the things that keeps getting popped up in my brain is that the spirits are telling me, tell people to calm the fudge down. And the analogy I gave earlier, I guess it's an analogy of farmers around here, farmers anywhere have the seed. They plant the seed, but they gotta wait. So there are things going on right now that you gotta wait. You gotta have patience with some things. There are seeds that have been planted politically and otherwise, and idea wise, and people have ideas, but you can have an idea, but it's sort of like butterfly. You can have an idea, but that's just the kernel. And then there's that now you get out of your idea stage, and then you start shuffling some papers and calling some people and writing some notes down. Now you're sort of in the development stage. But then you get really serious, and then you start getting some plywood and putting things together and some hammer and nails, a nail gun, and this and that. You start putting something together. And then when you're through, then it's the butterfly. So there are the different stages of development. Well, there are different stages of manufacturing. There are things being brought, there are plants being brought in, there are plants being built, things are changing, but it takes time. Why aren't things just right on here? Because you just asked me the other day, well, how come things haven't changed yet? Because, Rome wasn't built in a day, as they said. But, as I gave my example of around here, 6, 7 weeks ago, the farmers put in these tiny little things. They're cabbage plants. And now they're up this high. The fields look great. They're fixing to put on a head of cabbage here any day now. So in another week, there'll be a head of cabbage, and then it'll be ready to harvest. That the cabbage ain't ready to go now. It would just be greens, which, you know. But no, wait till the cabbage makes a head. Then you pick it, right? So that's when the fruit is ready, but you gotta wait. So people um, with these things don't have any patience. So what creator and what the spirits are telling me, you got to get this out to people. Tell them to chill. They gotta what? They gotta let things happen and let things shake out as it will, you know. But there are seeds that have been planted by different people, by different places. You know, there's stuff out there, but we gotta wait for it to shake out. So tell your friends and neighbors to calm down. Oh my God, look what happened today. Wait till tomorrow. Wait till the next day. You know, but chill the F down and wait a day or two and then do puppet videos like Craig Ferguson. Yeah, well, I have problems here in the house in that I don't have enough room. But one of the things I need to do, and one of my problems is I need to make room. There are things in the house down here that I've had have not used in 15 years that need to go bye bye. Oh no, but I don't want to throw this. Get out, throw it out. I need the room. I need to clean out over there. I need to, and I haven't used this stuff in 10 years. Why am I keeping it? I see no future in any of the stuff that I'm keeping. Bye bye. And I've got all these puppets and things that are up in the trailer that need to come out of the trailer. And and I need to do some videos with the puppets for real. I need to get back on. I need to get back on track with finishing out that end of the house that I started, which would give me a lot more room, especially for performing. It would give me a lot more light because of the sun, the 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 overhead skylights. That's the word. The skylights that's going to be in the ceiling. That's going to give a lot of natural light, which will be great for videotaping instead of artificial light. So all these things are planned. But then I got my back surgery, and then I had my urine surgery, and then I had my heart surgery, and then I've had 3 times in the hospital with my heart. All of that has slowed me down tremendously, but I'm back on my feet, even though it hurts. Not my feet, but my back. And so it's time to rescue those puppets, and it's time to if you knew what my puppet shows were like, because y'all have never seen one, you'd go, "Holy crap, Dave! Why aren't you doing puppets?" Because I was a master with what I did with just 2 hands and 2 puppets. And if somebody could help me, that was even better. But I did all the voices. Um, it was all live. Very little, if ever, was there anything recorded, unless it was like some music or something as an intro or something. But but anyway, I'm bragging, yes, but I did it all live. And 100 people would clap and give me money for my performances. So and it was fun, but I'm old and it was hard to stand up. It was hard to do the puppets, but what I need to do is bring them out because I can the way I used the puppets then was I did commentary, political commentary, before it got rough with Trump and everything. Um, I was doing puppets back in the Obama days, and and I was making jokes about Bill Gates and and all these other people in the puppet shows, and the kids didn't get it, but the parents laughed their ass off. So, you know, I was that kind of puppeteer, and and I love Jeff Dunham, but there are things that I talked about that I did that resemble a lot of some of the things that Jeff Dunham does on the fly. He's so quick witted. And so it's like, but you're trying to copy him. No, y'all. I've been doing this since 1994. You know, you just haven't seen me. You know, that's all. You haven't seen me perform, but I've been doing this since 1994 when I first come up with the puppets. So I'm not trying to brag, but I was doing stuff like Jeff Dunham back in 1964 and beyond. It has been a developing the characters and the theme and so forth. But so there's that part of me. It's like I wish I could get my puppets going and meet Jeff Dunham and let our puppet brains and stuff get whacked. Now I don't know if he smokes, but let me smoke a happy doobie, and I share it with him. But let me smoke a happy doobie and get going, and the two of us, you know, just ad lib and put a camera on us. you know, it'd be crazy. It'd be crazy. I would love it. You know, and in this day and age, what's to say I can't? But I need to get my puppets out to kind of show what I'm doing. To just sit here and be crazy doesn't make sense. But when I bring a puppet out and do the voices and you see the characters and how they act and interact, then you get the point. So that's when I can sell it, you know, and maybe me and Jeff can, just get together and have fun, you know. To me, that would just be like, I'm an old man. What else I got to do? But to go do puppets with somebody who does puppets, for a living, oh man, that would just be great. Whether it went anywhere, I'm not asking for money or nothing, but to be able to go do it with a quote professional, when I traveled around for 15 years, 20 years doing it, and um, was live and in public and everything with the kids and taught the kids how to work with puppets and so forth. Gave them the opportunity to work with the puppets, and um, because most of the puppets I did were are marionettes. So anyway, it's 2 hours and 33 minutes. It's 4/24, 2026. It's 3:39 a.m. here on the East Coast. If you're into um, um, time savings thing. So I'm gonna smoke this little bowl and say goodbye to y'all. It has been a great morning. It's been good to see you all. John, I know Duromska's gone, but any of y'all that are still hanging on this far down, I'm going to repeat it again. I'm here because of this video. The enigma of a pen drive thrown in the street has to do with Dante, 8867, AHAK. And the videos on it are like exactly like the videos Dante has shown on the Charistus channel and also on the Pathfinder channel. And I find it interesting that this channel, Contacto con la Ciencia, has the thumb drive. of 8867. So, cheers. I hope this information gets to the right people. I do, I do. This is a public service announcement. In a lot of ways, I've talked about Earth Wobble, I've talked about different things, and so this is a public service announcement in many ways. Hope you all learned something. You might have, if in learning something, for some of you, it might be, I heard that somewhere, or I learned that. I learned that when I was a kid, or I okay. So I hope you all learned something. Share a bowl. Cliff High talks about the consciousness. I've talked about the cosmic goo for years, at least 20 years. And so the cosmic goo is the quantum field. The the cosmic goo is also, as I was reading cards today, the dolphin card is that the mana, dolphin breathes in and breathes out and is the keeper of the breath and the breath of the universe, breathing in and out. When we breathe in and out, we are breathing in the essence of the universe every single time. And that's one thing humans need is oxygen. We need to breathe and we need to breathe often. When I catch my breath and my heart goes wacko, I'm like, holy crap, is this it this time? Hang on. So, but then you catch your breath, thank God, and calm down. But we are breathing in and out the essence of the universe. And we are. We're breathing in and out the essence of the universe, the quantum, the consciousness. And if we pay attention, that energy helps us to understand the universe. I'm bringing in the essence of the universe. And when you think about it, I'm breathing in the essence and I want to, whatever the universe can teach me, show me, help me, explain to me, whatever it's out there. Just here's the opportunity. The mana, as Dolphin card shows, the mana from the universe is in the air that we breathe. The Hindus and Buddhists and talk, it's how we breathe. Through your nose where the oxygen gets right up to your brain, out through your mouth, which in through your nose and out through your mouth is supposed to be clean air through the nose and the dirty air out your mouth. So we're breathing in the universe. We're breathing in the manna. In the Bible, the manna, they got the manna from God. Well, in the universe with the Indians and the dolphin card, for example, manna is the breath of the universe. So think about that. You don't have to go anywhere. You don't have to do anything. You just have to be aware of it. So, with that said, be aware of what you're doing. The universe keeps trying to tell me to tell you calm the fudge down. Maybe go make some fudge, you know. But in the long run, remember the uh, the sower of the seeds. The guy's been walking along and there's seeds coming out of his bag and they're falling over here and falling over there. And Well, now we're starting to see those plants come up, but they're only this tall. They ain't even really a weed yet. Well, some of these weeds are like corn stalks. Some of them are bean stalks. Some of them might be, might be some kale, or it might be some, squash. Might be something, really edible, rhubarb. Um, but when it's only this big, you don't know what it is. But so you got to wait a little while to find out what it is. So y'all, this is springtime. Things that are going on now, you have to watch it like a garden. That's what the universe is begging me to tell you, and spread it to your friends. Calm down. Oh, yeah, but they did something in Iran today. Calm down. Yeah, but somebody did something to somebody over here. Calm down. You have to see how things work out. Earlier on in this show, I said, you know, the the art of the deal is like a crap game. And for every time they're trying to make a deal, somebody puts some dice in their hand and they, if you ever played dice, come on, seven, come 11, right? Seven, come 11. Or, I need a six. I need a six. Whatever it is, right? And you throw them dice down there and it's like, son of a gun, you get a box cars. Box cars are 212s. So you lost, right? Or you get snake eyes, which is two ones. So right now, the deal is the ceasefire is like this. Oh, did you, John? It makes a difference. And especially when you get hemorrhoids in that bony butt, because I got a bony butt too. So, hey, but I lost some poundage. Um, I'm at 184 and I was at 198. So I have lost weight. Oh, there. And that's just, I've been doing a lot of paddling with the canoe and getting stuck in the river and all that good stuff. Um, but but they're making a deal with Iran. So you have to look at it like this. Every time they won, the war was the war. But then when they said, okay, we're going to quit for a couple of days, that's when they sat down and said, okay, now we're going to play craps. Now we're going to play dice. Before we just bombed the hell out of you, but now I'm decided to sit down with you. Here's my chips, and there are your chips. I just took a bunch of them by bombing and strafing and everything. So you got your stuff, we got our stuff, but now we're gonna play dice. Or now we're gonna roll the dice. You can go first. Here, okay. And they roll a seven. They got boats in Iran and they're dropping mines in the strait and so the deal is our turn to roll. Okay, bram. There's an 11 and we're going to bomb the shit out of this over here because blah blah blah. So the game still goes on. So, but it's a game of craps. You don't know what the other side's going to wager. You don't know whether or not they're going to win. They're rolling the dice, you know, and then it's our turn to roll the dice. You know, we don't know what's going to come up. The only thing that we agree on with them is that we're playing dice. The only thing they are agreeing on is that they're playing craps. They come in with a bunch of words and a proposal or something. That's what they're rolling with, right? And so we come up with, well, now this is what we're rolling with. And, we got to roll an 11 here to win this. So that's what we're shooting for. But sometimes we don't get that 11. Sometimes it comes up a 5. Sometimes you have to roll again. And, and then you get your 6. 5 and 6 is 11. Hot damn. So now you're starting to show that you can win. But it took you 2 rolls. You didn't get 11 right off. You didn't get 7 right off. You had to roll twice, you know. Well, what does that mean in the long run? Durams is gone, sweetie. He had dental appointments. So, but anyway, it's just a metaphor sort of kind of thing, and what is this thing going on? So people are worried about, oh, what's going on, and they did something over here and they did something over there. Well, if you think of it as they're playing dice, they rolled a 3, you know, not quite a snake eyes, but they rolled a 3, you know. Um, so it's just like anything else. They got to roll a 3 to win. They got to, um, when they but one way to get a 3, and that's a 1 and a 2, you know. So, um, but you got to look at it as they are making a deal, but the deal is fragile, like rolling dice. They roll dice with their words. Here's the proposal, boom. Here's what we've got to offer, boom. Here's what we're not going to do, boom. They're rolling the dice to see what we come up with. And then we have best and we roll the dice to see if we win. That's how it goes. So, but it takes time for the game to fall out. It just doesn't happen overnight. So they're keep telling me, make sure you tell everybody to slow the fudge down and watch the game unfold, because that's what's happening. So also here at the end of this, the enigma of a pen drive thrown in the street. And on that pen drive were files DS-AHK 8867. And in that file, on that pen drive, showed clips of Space Wars, Jupiter, the moons, and what obviously looked like Saturn because of the rings. Um, and it looked like it was black and white, and looked like it was done in 16 millimeter film a long time ago, just like what Dante showed us a long time ago. So, but on that pen drive were these files and were these videos. So I'm hoping that this gets to where it needs to go. So y'all have a good night. This is Hawkeye Two Feathers saying, as always, I continue to pray that each and every day, that each and every one of you will continue to learn how to accept and receive the knowledge, the healing, the wisdom, and the many blessings from the universe. Cheers to all of y'all, and be safe. And until next time, be well.